Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Lungleng Show. Tonight, we have two wonderful guests who are considered very influential voices in the state of Nagaland. So, what we're going to do is we'll have a discussion on the issue of this, the police recruitment, which this issue stemmed out from there, and now there has been discussion on who are so-called the indigenous Naga and the non-indigenous citizens of Nagaland, non-indigenous tribe of Nagaland. So I think the discussion will be around this topic, and I'm sure you have heard their opinions in one way or the other, and have given their opinion in many ways. I have listened to Joel Naga, who is the president of the RPP, Rising People's Party, a very new political party here in Nagaland. And Kahuto is also has not spoken on this. I mean, he has spoken it very lately, but I have not fully listened to it yet. But this will be an opportunity for us to listen to his um, views as well, and we get to know, what he thinks on that and how should the government take the issue from here and how we should address the concerns that's raised by NSF as well. And how do we look at this issue from different perspectives, from the point of indigenous point of view, as well as from the employment point of view, economic point of view. So without further ado, I welcome everyone who has joined us online. More than 500, we have 600 people online right now, and it just keeps increasing. And I thank Mr. Kahuto Chishi and Mr. Joel Naga for agreeing to come and talk on this issue. Thanks so much again. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lungleng.
Good evening and thank you for having us.
So I would also like to know, how did it all start? I mean, when the police department set out the notification for recruitment 1,176 police constables here in Nagaland, there is an eligibility criteria which clearly says indigenous Naga citizens from Nagaland. So what was your first reaction when you saw that? Mr. Joel, I think I'll go with you first.
Okay, once again, thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. And I think this is the first time that my elder brother Kahuto Chishi and we are together in the same platform. Uh, so, elder brother, wishing you all the best. I think today we are going to be on the same page, same boat. So, coming to Lungleng's question, actually, the police advertisement was welcome, but at the same time, it was disappointing in the sense that the state government notified that only the indigenous Naga indigenous inhabitants of the state may apply for a post, which meant that the non-Naga indigenous tribal inhabitants of the state were left out from the recruitment process. And we raised this issue in the print media, and subsequently the NSF the opposed our statement, which was very unfortunate because when we issued that statement, we were referring to the prior notification issued by the state government that any Naga tribes plus Kachari, Kuki, Garo, and Mikirs, uh, they are eligible for 100% employment in the state. That is as per the 1973 official notification. And so this official notification was kept aside, and uh, very unfortunately, the state government notified that these tribes should not be, given the due process. And therefore, we felt that this was discriminatory and this was injustice. And therefore, we highlighted the issue. But unfortunately, the NSF, not the actual body per se, but the commission which was set up by the NSF, that is the ILP commission, headed by NSN Lotha, the chairman. They opposed the RPP statement, and this subsequently there were these verbal sparrings in the media, and today we're here.
Thanks so much, and I'd like to hear a quick reaction from Mr. Kahuto Chishi on the police notification that came a few days ago.
When the notification first came out, I didn't go through it very detailed, no. And it was thanks to Mr. Joel and RPP when they gave that press statement. Then I realized that this was going on. So, as Mr. Joel has correctly pointed out, this is not something new. The state of Nagaland was established in 1963. There is a notification in 1967 which says any Naga tribe and the Garos, Kachari, Kuki, and Mikirs. Then again in 1969, it's repeated, and 1973, the one which I think Joel mentioned. Then again in 1983. So I'm not aware of the present government passing any rules or regulation or any law which has negated these earlier notifications. So it is highly irregular and very questionable.
Thanks for sharing your opinion. So I would like to what the NSF said also, they acknowledge the fact that yes, they have been part of the, let's say, a legal resident of the state of Nagaland. They say they don't deny it, but they have problem with terming them as indigenous people because they believe that only Nagas are the indigenous people of Nagaland, that is the soil or the land occupied by the Nagas. So I want us to also look at here are two issues. One is a debate on whether it is correct to call them indigenous people of Nagaland, or your problem with this eligibility criteria is because you're fighting for economic uh, justice for them as a source of income. This job recruitment and reservation for jobs, not including them in this recruitment from economic point of view, or you're arguing for them from the indigenous point of view. Like, how would you like to state your point of view on this?
Who would go first?
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Elder brother, you go ahead.
yeah,
Okay.
Mr. Kahuto Chishi can
In
also
my
take over.
thinking, it is about the rights of the people. It's not about, see, employment is just not this 1,100 and something jobs. No? You're not starving, but it is their right to be recognized as people of Nagaland. Now, they are settled here in Dimapur. When I mean Dimapur, I mean Chumudima from that Baglan Nadi, no, and Newland. Okay, so they have been here for a number of years, long before Nagas were here. And why should they be deprived of their rights to any job or opportunity in the state of Nagaland? No, the government of Nagaland has to, the NSF has to answer that.
Okay, but do you agree? Do you agree with NSF that they're not indigenous
No, no,
people
no,
of
I
Nagaland?
don't agree. I don't agree.
Or
You
that
you
means you're
ask
saying
this
that they're
NSF
indigenous
office
people?
bearers, no?
Okay.
Pardon?
Are you saying that they are
No.
also indigenous? They're
Yes,
indigenous
they are
people.
also
They're
indigenous.
indigenous to this land.
Yes. See, you have to understand, okay, the land, the natural geography, and political divisions. Now, Nagas are spread across Manipur, Nagaland, Arunachal, and Myanmar.
Yep.
All Nagas are there, but we have been divided politically. So, similarly, the Dimasas, the Kukis, the Garos, and the Mikirs, they also spread across the northeast part of India. But they have been politically included in the state of Nagaland. So, under what natural or legal law are they being deprived of the opportunity to jobs and opportunities in the state of Nagaland? Because they've got their traditional barriers, then they can choose to either join Manipur or Assam. I have
Now,
said
in that,
that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, okay,
yeah,
carry
in
on,
that
yeah,
case,
please.
just
Uh,
a small rebuttal. In that case, the
uh,
Marwaris and people who are from the mainland who have settled down in Nagaland before 1963 will they also be called indigenous people of
no,
Nagaland?
no, no. See, you have to understand, okay, that people have come here for business purposes. They're different, and people have come here to cultivate the land, to settle on the land. No, do you get the thing, the difference? Those who have stayed in the
Yep.
towns. I've
Yep.
read my first ever foray into the public field was on this question of indigeneity, and I
Mm-hmm.
said that a person is indigenous to a land if he is there before other people, and
Mm-hmm.
the claim to the land is established by cultivating the thing fields. So Rongmais are not indigenous to Nagaland because they were settled only in Dimapur town and Kohima town.
Okay.
But the government of Nagaland has given them rights of those who are mentioned in the 1963 electoral rolls. So you have to understand that. It does not mean that all Rongmais across India are given rights. Similarly, in the case of the thing, Garos, Kacharis, Cookies, and Mikirs, they have written clearly that those who have thing settled in the villages and those even other Naga tribes. Okay, forget the Nagas of Nagaland. Other Naga tribes whose forefathers are in the 1963 electoral roll, or who have forefathers and guardians, and who have land, who have patas, they are also considered as indigenous. Now, if the government of Nagaland wants to deprive them of these rights, then they can pass a law. No one is stopping them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good to use these underhand methods.
Mm-hmm.
I made a mistake, okay? It's actually 1967, 1969, 1973, 1977, 1978, and 1983. There are six thing, notifications on this issue. And
Okay.
there they have clearly mentioned, no, grade 3 and 4, 100% will be for the indigenous people of Nagaland. It does not say Nagas.
Okay. Okay. I get your point. I get your point. Mr. Joel Naga, what would be your reaction? Are you agreeing with Mr. Kahuto Chishi entirely on that, or do you have different views on the
Yes,
defining
I
the
agree.
indigeneity of the people?
I agree entirely with him because
Okay.
what are indigenous people? The indigenous people are the original inhabitants of the land,
Mm-hmm.
as he has put it. Now, for those people who came before 1963, the Marwaris and Muslims and the Indian citizens who came before 1963 to the state of Nagaland, I mean, they are not the original inhabitants of the land. They are they
Correct.
are they are called the migrants. They are
Mm-hmm.
citizens of India. They have every right in the state of Nagaland to carry out trade, to carry out their livelihood activities, but they are not the original inhabitants of the land. This is a
Mm-hmm.
distinction which we need to make. Now, the NSF Commission has stated that the Nagas are only the indigenous inhabitants of the land, which is totally wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, in fact, a racist remark, actually,
Okay.
because the Garos and the Garos and say the Kacharis, they are the original inhabitants of the land. These four tribes, they are in original inhabitants of the land, and this is the reason why they have been given indigenous status. As my elder brother was mentioning, the once upon a time in the year 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, something like that, there was a big controversy regarding the Rongmais.
Yep.
And the state government wanted to give them ST status for the purpose of employment in the state government. But then, because of the civil society organizations, this proposal was scuttled. The government was forced to, scuttle this issue because the Rongmais are indigenous to Manipur, no doubt, but they are not indigenous to Nagaland because they are not original inhabitants of Nagaland, and therefore ST status, which was uh, proposed to be conferred upon them, was cancelled. Now, So we can, in a sense, say that, all the tribal peoples are, all the indigenous peoples are tribals, but all the tribal peoples are not indigenous to the land. For
Okay.
example, you are indigenous, you are a scheduled tribe from the state of Manipur, but you are not indigenous to the state of Nagaland. So I think we Nagas need to know clearly this distinction, because this NSF statement has created a lot of confusion. Now people are beginning to think that these Kacharis, Garos, Mikiris, and Kukis, they think that these tribes are trying to usurp the rights of the Nagas. This is a feeling which I get while scrolling through the comments in social media. No, they are not trying to usurp the status of the Nagas, but they are only we are only saying that they should be given equal rights as the Nagas are being given in the state of Nagaland. That they should not be treated as second-class citizens. I mean, this is a very simple issue, but somehow we have managed to make a mountain out of a molehill, and this is very unfortunate.
Hmm. And now, just to provoke the two of you further, I would provoke the two of you further. I would like to also ask. You say that indigeneity is mostly defined by the origin as the original settlers of the land, and that the tribes that you are maybe voicing out for are also original settlers in Nagaland, maybe especially in Dimapur. So, can you tell me, shed a light for me on like who are the tribes? For example, Garo, Mikir, Kajari, and Kukis. I mean, where did they originally settle before Nagaland state got its get its statehood in 1963? Which land where they settled as an original settler?
I'll answer that.
Yeah,
See,
please.
people have a tendency to search for better opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And when I come to a place which is already settled by others, then I'm an immigrant. If I come to a place where there's nobody, then I become indigenous to the place. Now, we have, I'm not here to argue about who came when, who came first, who came last, but I refer you to J.H. Hutton's book, The Angami Naga. There you see at the start, he gives the map, and he's given the Angami. I forgot the phrase he uses. Okay, Angami land, not land, but then next to that is Mikir, and after that is Kachari. So that is the plain area from that Paglan
Mm-hmm.
Nadi onwards.
Okay.
So they can, NSF can go and refute that if they know so well about the history of the peoples. No, they can inform us who settled here in which year in Nagaland. I mean in Dimapur area. See, all these villages are the villages in the hills, whether in Manipur, Nagaland, Arunachal, or Myanmar. They were settled before they were governments. But here in Dimapur, Chumudima, and Newland, all of them are settled with government permits.
Yeah. Now
So
that
I don't
yeah,
see
right.
what
Okay.
claim the NSF is putting forward.
Okay.
I don't understand.
Now the two of you have a similar viewpoints, so I will play mostly the devil's advocate, and I would like to also press on the two of you against on because if you draw a parallel line, because there were apparently some Maos in Dimapur, the Mao people in Dimapur before Nagaland state got its statehood in 1963. So and also there were some Garos, there were some Kukis, there were some Gajaris before the statehood and all. So, if you apply the same yardstick, would the Mao people also become indigenous settler of Dimapur if we're not able to define where the Garo, where is the land, where was the land Garos were settled in Dimapur, where was the land Gajaris were settled, where was the land Kukis were settled as original settler, where were their lands? And since if we're not able to identify their lands or original settlers, then we can apply the same yardstick to Mao people, and they can also become an indigenous people in the state of Nagaland.
I
Any
get your
comment?
point. No?
Do you have a reaction to that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So when you come to the cookies, no, Garos, Kacharis, and Mikiris, no. Oh, of course, Mikiris are not aware, okay, where the villages are. But these tribes, the people of these tribes who have descended from the villages, they are the ones who are given indigeneity. And when they first put out a notification in 1967, any Naga tribe, so the Maos, you're giving the example of the Maos, no? They come under any Naga tribe. Those who have descended from those who have settled here in Dimapur or Kohima. So the government of Nagaland has already given them indigeneity under the any Naga tribe, because in the 1983 notification they have stated clearly that any person who is descended from people who have valid patas, land patas, who have settled prior to 1963, December 1st, 1963. So yes, they can claim indigeneity based on the law passed way back in 1967.
Okay.
It's not something we are making up now. Whether it's Mr. Joel or me, yeah, our stand is based on the existing law. We're not making up. We're not trying to appease somebody, unlike the NSF. NSF is a plain thing. Tackle for the government of Nagaland. The government of Nagaland has done this cheated thing, and then now they're just sitting back and letting the NSF play. And that is, NSF is the B team of the Nagaland government.
Okay.
Okay.
So let me
Well,
also,
good. Mr. George,
let me also supplement Kahuto. See, it's an established fact that Dimapur was the kingdom of the Kacharis. It's an established fact. There's no dispute. They were the kings over this place. And I mean, I've heard some people say that since the Kacharis were, defeated by the Ahoms, they're no longer, they are no longer indigenous to Dimapur. And the Kacharis who are still in Dimapur are most probably migrants from places in Assam. This is totally false, and it's a blatant lie. According to this British officer who discovered the ruins of Dimapur in 1839, E.R. Grange. When he came to Dimapur, he discovered Dimapur after it was in ruins, because the Kachari kingdom was defeated in 1536 by the Ahoms. And then it was in ruins. The Kachari king fled to Kachar. There's no doubt about that. But there were remnants of Kacharis in Dimapur area, remnants. So E.R. Grange, he wrote in his account that he saw some few Kachari villages in and around Dimapur. And these Kacharis and the Kacharis of today are the descendants of these people. They are a defeated people, no doubt. The Kacharis are a defeated people, but that doesn't mean that they were not the owners of the land once upon a time. They're still STs in Nagaland. They're still indigenous to Nagaland. So as to your question, where the Kacharis came from, I guess that is the answer. Number two, the state of Nagaland is an artificial boundary. It was an arbitrary line, arbitrary line as per the 1925 notification by the British. So when this line was demarcated as a boundary between Assam and Nagaland, Rengmas in Assam, Karbi Anglong were left out. At the same time, those Garos and Mikirs who were settled in and around Dimapur, they, by default, they happen to be inside the boundary of Nagaland. And therefore, what I'm trying to say is that there are Garos spread over Nagaland, in Dimapur, and in areas contiguous to Dimapur in Assam. And of course, there are Garos in Meghalaya and elsewhere. So those are the Mikiris, who are the Karbis. They are there in Karbi Anglong, and in the contiguous areas of Karbi Anglong called Dimapur area. So because of the boundary lines, some Garos and Mikiris happen to be inside Dimapur, and some were left out in Assam. So we do not fall the descendants of these people. And we cannot certainly say that, no, you are not Nagas and therefore you're not indigenous to Nagaland. Nobody is saying that they are Nagas. There are some people who are confused and they seem to think that, what we are trying to say is that we are trying to, put a label of Nagas upon these people. No, they do not want to be Nagas in the first place. They want to maintain their own identity. They want to maintain their own culture. They want to maintain their own tradition. But at this moment, when we question the indigeneity of these four tribes, what we are doing is that we are trying to erase the history. When we say that they're not indigenous to the land, when they're not indigenous to Nagaland, we are saying that they don't have any, we are saying that they are not owners of the land. See, the word indigenous is a very powerful word. It connotes, it connotes so many meanings. So when we say that they are not indigenous to the land, it means that they are no longer the owners of the land. So when they are no longer owners of the land, it also means that they are migrants. And that is what the NSF has said. They are migrants. See, by saying that they are not indigenous, the NSF has wittingly, unwittingly dispossessed them, actually. Dispossessed them of their ownership over the land. And this is really unfortunate.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that beautiful points of views. The question comes down to the logical incoherence, or maybe sometimes a flawed rationale on since we're not able to identify exactly when it comes to geographical location, and there is probably no very clear historical record as to where were the Garos settled and where were the Makirs settled and where were the Kukis settled in Nagaland. So yes, the indigeneity will come down to mostly, of course, when they have pre-colonial settlement before as per the UN definition, that will mostly go to historical continuity, like with pre-colonial and pre-settler societies, and that has strong link to territories and natural resources. So I think, but you would agree with the fact that identifying them as indigenous people of Nagaland does not also mean that other than them, for instance, like we have talked about the Marwaris and other migrants who come from other parts of this country, since they have been now a legal resident of Nagaland, they will never be indigenous people of Dimapur or Nagaland. You would agree with that, right?
I'd like to forward a few points. We are confusing indigeneity and ownership of land. Okay. As you said, the UN recognizes indigenous people a pre-colonial thing. But ownership of land, virgin land, how do you establish? When there were no government agencies, how do you establish ownership of land? You establish it by settling the land and by planting crops. Okay, that is recognized as claiming ownership. So that is the difference between the Kukis, Kacharis, Garos, Karbis, and the Marwaris Biharis. Marwaris Biharis, they came here for business, they settled in the town, buying and selling. Whereas these people, they came here, they settled in villages, they cultivated the land, they developed the land, they cultivated it. So that as cemented their claim to the ownership of the land. Again, Nagas, we still don't understand the concept of land ownership. We do not have the ability to extrapolate. Okay, I'm from my original village is Lokobo in Zamboto district. I'm a Simi. It does not mean that every piece of land in Zamboto is free for me to cultivate or to settle. Even in my village, Lokobo, the different clans own the different parts of the land. So and within the clan also, successive generations, they divide the land. So now Nagas, when Nagas say that the land belongs to the Nagas, that is a false statement. Because Nagas, we don't own land as a tribe or as an ethnic group. Now, there are some elements who are trying to claim ownership over Dimapur without any historical or legal basis. And they're confusing it with indigeneity to bolster their false claims. So we should not fall into the trap. But again, this whole notification is challengeable in court. The government of Nagaland has to explain their stand, how they have negated the previous notifications passed by successive governments.
Okay, okay. So we need to, of course, have that clear conscience or clear understanding of, if we really have to make a policy, if we really have to make a decision, I think we will definitely need to study the nitty-gritty or the nuances of where were they settled and how we can really define them as indigenous. And if we have to define them as indigenous people of Nagaland, then we need to know what makes them indigenous. And you have mentioned they were cultivating the lands and they were using the land as the resources and all of that. And that's what defines them as indigenous people of Nagaland. Well and good, till there. But the question is also, if Dimapur had not been brought under within the state of Nagaland, then there's no way they will be considered as the indigenous people of Nagaland, because in any other districts, they were never the indigenous settlers of Nagaland. Just because of the presence of Dimapur,
Yes,
now you are
exactly.
arguing for them that they're the indigenous people of Nagaland. Is it correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Okay.
true. Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
right. Yes. Right.
Just from my understanding, Article 14 talks about right to employment opportunities for all in the government sector. So, I mean, it's fundamental right, and Article 371A of Nagaland does not override our fundamental rights. That's very clear. That has been made clear by the Supreme Court. But I think the ambiguity of who are the indigenous people of Nagaland is still a point of discussion. Or you are very sure that there is no more discussion. It's very clear.
Good. Do you want to say?
Yeah. Okay. As far as this issue is concerned, I think this is more or less settled. But I have a feeling that I understand what the NSF is hinting at, and this is something which they don't want to discuss openly, and it is related to the larger Naga political issue. And I think it will be good for the NSF to spell it out so that the issue of indigeneity is laid to rest once and for all. Because from what I sense, uh, this is something which is related to Naga aspirations, as I've already stated, and it is obviously related to the state of Manipur as well. So I think NSF should be, transparent on this issue in the sense they should spell out clearly what needs to be done regarding the issue of indigeneity, because uh, this issue has, as we have stated earlier, this issue has created a lot of confusion in the minds of the Naga people, especially the Nagas of Nagaland. And it's not good for an important issue like this to be kept. I mean, to be prominent. I mean, we should be discussing this issue and debating on this issue. And if the NSF had, agreed to be part of this panel, I would have raised up this issue with the NSF. But since they are not here, let me stop there. And as regards to your, previous question, I would like to put in this manner. As far as our elder brother Kahuto has already answered a question. I would like to supplement him in the sense, as far as the Mararis and Bengalis and the Biharis who came before 1963 are concerned, I think the RIN, which was set up by the state government, has already proposed that they should be tagged or labeled as permanent residents, permanent residents of the state of Nagaland, instead of using the word indigenous, which was, I think, used to describe this group of people as well.
Okay, yeah, thanks for clarifying your points. I want to also ask a personal question. You are fighting for a minority, and that will piss off a lot of, that will also annoy a lot of the majority Naga youth who are running, who are working towards getting an employment opportunities in the government. But you are fighting for the minority, and you're speaking up on their behalf. So you, as an aspiring politicians, how do you calculate your potential to getting elected when you start raising issues like this, and that will annoy the larger section of the population and the voters? How would you tackle with this in the future?
Over the Kahuto.
See, many people think that I say and do what I do to try to garner votes. But I never had any political aspirations in my life. I don't have any. The reason I entered politics was to bring changes, try to bring changes in Nagaland, because I understand that it is the politician who decides all these matters, and I'm going to keep on contesting as long as I live, not to win, but to teach Nagas the path and to give them an alternative. So for me to what I say, I've been saying I came to the public sphere very late in life. Okay, only 2016. I was 50 years old. And it was because of this very indigeneity that I started writing to the papers. So I don't care. Vote for me, don't vote for me, it's okay. So,
Okay,
Joel, over to you.
okay, you have made yourself clear.
Actually, elder brother Kahuto being so vocal regarding the four tribes has really saved me, because I was getting all the bullets in social media, and they were demanding elder brother Kahuto's opinion on this issue, and then he clarified on this issue, and then I'm no longer a punching bag as far as this issue is concerned. Thanks to you. So see, some people may be thinking that we are raising this issue because we want to garner the votes, or we are seeking votes from this section of people, but that is not the case. I mean, uh, see, the issue is about justice, fair play, the due process of law, or equality before the law, and so when things like this come up, discrimination, injustice, for whatever reasons, I really don't know. Me and Kauto Chishi, we're gonna keep quiet. So yeah, perhaps people may be angry. I mean, but then it's because of ignorance. Many Nagas are not aware of issues, and these are some of the important issues where all of us need to be educated. Here, this is not about Nagas versus non-Nagas as such. This is about something about, as I put it before, something related to justice, fair play. And I feel that we should speak up for these tribes, because as it is, they are already underprivileged. I'm not being condescending, but then they are some of the most backward tribes in Nagaland. We talk about backwardness, but they are really backward. So
Hmm.
how do you gauge how do you gauge what is backwardness and what is forward? I really don't know. Maybe the standard is like employment in government service. So when you take this standard, when you gauge it against this standard called employment in government service, we find that their numbers are really negligible as far as civil services are concerned, as far as grade 3 and grade 4 posts are concerned. So they are very negligible. And as Kauto has already stated in one of his interviews, Garos and these Mikirs and these four tribes, they are already a minority tribe in the state. So out of 1,167 polls, what will be the share? Hardly 20-30, as he
Yep.
put it. Hardly 20-30. So why are we being so greedy, and why we been so foolhardy and uh, discriminatory regarding this issue? I really don't understand. But perhaps I feel that the answer lies with the NSF. They have, I think, something which they are not willing to reveal, and I would like to hear from them.
Mm, mm. Okay. Thanks for that. I think I just recall one point, a question that I just want to also put forward to both of you. Since when we refer to Garo or the cookies, we don't necessarily refer to all cookies that will be eligible to become or indigenous. I think we are clear on that. So in the same case, tomorrow if you find some evidences that yes, there were some Romays in Nagaland, because Zeleng Rong, they are like very a blood they are they're somewhat like a siblings when it comes to tribal arrangement or their community. So they're closely related. So tomorrow, if you find the presence of Rome as early as the presence of cookies here in Nagaland, or the presence of mouse, if we find tomorrow the evidence of their presence as early as the cookies presence that we find those days, do you think you would also vouch for their let's say status of indigeneity in the state of Nagaland? How would you look at that? Because
No,
they are tribe also, they cannot be put under any other Naga tribe. I mean, that becomes very, very vague, and that becomes very ambiguous, and that will not serve the purpose for anyone as a minority living in Nagaland without any status. That's also one concern, and that may echo your opinion as well. How would you look at it in the future in case of such instances?
no, I think it's very clear, the notification. No, 1983 notification makes it very clear
Okay.
that any Naga tribe, and which will include the Rongmais who were settled in Dimapur town and Kohima town, whose forefathers are in the 1963 electoral roll. See, you will not be aware, but a few years back, I think Joel will be aware. One Rongmai qualified in the NPC, if I'm not mistaken, but he was later removed because he was not from descendant of Ting, the Rongbais who had settled prior to 1963. So
Okay.
similarly, whether it's Mao or Tangkul or any other Naga tribe, if their ancestors or their guardians also, the notification says, have settled prior to 1963 or hold some form of documentation stating such, then they are eligible to all the benefits of the indigenous people. That is not my view. That is what has been decided in 1967 all the way to 2025, where suddenly everything has been turned upside down. Now, regarding the NSF, I have a very, very low opinion of them.
Okay.
A few years back, in Northeast Life, Mr. Wasbi Hussein's show, I call them auxiliary units of the NSNI. And that is still my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
They always play blocking for the government of Nagaland or for the NSNI. So they should not be confusing issues here. Because already they are going the way of the Naga Hoho and the Naga Mothers Association. Naga public is no longer bothered about them. It's just they have some prominence because the government of Nagaland gives them importance. Even ILP is because of the thing. Rio was so desperate to get the Naga people's approval for the Citizenship Amendment Act that they promised ILP introduction so that public will keep quiet. So this is what they always do, NSF. Yeah, there's some hidden motive, as Mr. Joel said earlier. But these
Mm-hmm.
people, they never see. When you notice the comments of some people, not all, they always say, "Why don't you ask those people? Why don't you ask the government? Why don't you ask?" YouTubers, they request them, but they're never willing to speak. Only in among themselves, then they will speak. Not with people who have a different point of view. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, Mr. Joel. Yeah.
But I support ILB over Dimapur, okay?
See,
That's
whether you
Father.
support, I don't know your reason for supporting,
Mm,
but my reason for being
mm,
against it is again
mm.
there's a issue for another day.
For another day,
No.
yes, for another day. Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So, as to what Elder Brother Kahuto has said regarding this Rongmai student, I think, yeah, there was an incident like that some few years back, and it was their own people. I mean, the Zilang Students Union, I guess, which raised the issue, and then uh, the unfortunate candidate, he or she wouldn't get the seat. I think so. Something like that happened.
Yes, yes.
Anyway, with regard to this issue, whether the Maos and Southern Nagas and the Rongmais settled prior to 1st December 1963, whether they're eligible to, hold posts in Nagaland or not, I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure.
No, it's there. No,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
send you the
Okay,
thing. No, it's
okay,
my
okay,
phone. I'm using my phone.
okay. So his source, he must be right because he has he has a document already.
1983
But
notification. 19.
yes, but one thing is for sure that they cannot be given indigenous inhabitant certificate. That is, I think we have made it clear that is not possible.
Okay.
That too, I don't know. But when they clarify about any Naga tribe, no,
Mm.
they have specifically included this, the three criteria.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that. That's related to indigenous inhabitants, but I think indigenous inhabitants, any Naga tribe within Nagaland. So that
No.
could not be established.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
what I'm trying to say is, let's not argue. Well, I'm
Uh,
not
let,
trying to
let,
argue,
let,
but
let,
just trying to
let,
clarify.
let's not get sidetracked here.
Yeah.
Okay.
With regard to what you raised,
Hmm.
Reen raised this issue. Actually, Reen raised this issue because any Naga tribes living within Nagaland should be able to show three documents: house tax, voter enrollment prior to 1963 or 1963, and then land pata. So Reen stated that this is not possible for Nagas of Nagaland because Nagas were not enrolled in 1963. And how and where from where will we furnish house tax?
No, no, no.
So
It does
those
not
were technical
apply.
issues. Yeah,
No, it does not apply to the tribes.
Nagas of Nagaland. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It does not apply. It applies to
It
only
applies.
any Naga
Yeah.
tribe from outside the political boundary of the state of Naga.
Okay. Mm,
Okay.
So
Okay.
that is well done.
mm,
Okay. So I think, and honestly, you both know that voicing out concern like this is also maybe possibly a political as suicide for both of you as well, because you are voicing out for a group of people, like I said, that is not majority. And yes, we all move sometimes based on what we want, on based on just on our own in our own interest. And I think this is a quite very interesting conversation, and this is not the end of it. I believe that there's more room for discussion around this topic, because the more we discuss and the more we have conversation around this, I think we are able to understand each other's points of view, and I think that's what the government should also pursue as well, rather than just making laws without having a debate on any issue.
Yes, very true.
Mm. So I think, from our discussion, one issue cropped up again, which is the implementation of ILB in this in Dimapur district, or Chumukidima Newland area. So as you pointed out that Mr. Kahuto is against that implementation in one way or the other, but that's very huge topic for us to just discuss for now. And Mr. Joel Naga is for that. So I think it will make us as a good panels of for a conversation for the second round of conversation on this topic, and we can have very interesting debate on this, and having both of you also as the panelists, and for a very a very genuine debate for a such topic like this. So I hope you will join the discussion again in the future on this.
Yes. So
Yes, of
thank
course.
you. I mean, the discussion is over. So this is the end of the
I think so.
discussion.
No?
Okay.
Right. I
Okay.
think this is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to share your opinion, what do you think should the government do when it comes to this police recruitment? Because that has become one of the very distinct eligibility criteria. And do you think government should just go on, or you think you're calling for the government to revoke that and start afresh by including these four tribes?
As as Elder Brother Kahuto had already stated in one of his interviews, uh, if the government goes ahead with this present advertisement, I'm sure these four tribes will go to the courts. And once it goes to the courts, the issue will be delayed. The recruitment will be delayed. And once the recruitment gets delayed, I'm sure most of the Naga youths, Naga candidates will blame Elder Brother Kauto Chishi and Joel Naga. So I just wish that the government goes ahead, does some rectification, and ensures that the four tribes gets the opportunity to join the recruitment process.
Yeah. I share the same opinion as I said earlier. No? Eh, it's nothing shameful, no, to correct oneself. So it's okay if the government modifies the notification to include this thing. For otherwise, the courts are always there. This is the day and age of knowledge, awareness. You cannot hide. There in one SEMA WhatsApp group, when I talked about Dimapur, no, one SEMA guy, he wrote that, these Kacharis would have forgotten, but I reminded them that this belongs, the land belongs to them. No? So that is the level of stupidity we're dealing with.
Okay.
No, we think that we can hide our wrongdoings, but people also have brains. People also observe. They also know. So the government should reconsider.
Okay. So would it really matter, like who it originally belonged to when they're no longer here at this moment?
Uh, you mean the thing,
For
indigeneity in the
instance, like
question of
Dimapur belonged to Gajari people, yes, maybe historically, but now the majority is
see,
the Naga.
no, no,
They
we
have
have to
been ousted
understand. No,
to the
no, no.
peripheries.
See, this is the mistake we're making. We're talking about land ownership.
Hmm.
No, we should not confuse it with indigeneity. So the land belongs to the government of Nagaland. Across the world, the land belongs to the government. It is only in Nagaland that the Indian Parliament has given us full rights to our land.
Yep.
So it's not about them being here, they're here. There are so many Kachara villages, Garo villages, Kuki villages. How can we say that they're not here?
They're here, not in the
Yes.
heart of the land. They have been pushed to the peripheries now.
No, no. They've sold the land. That's a different issue.
Yes. So
But
ownership ends there when they sell the
uh,
land.
yes, but that the fact that they have no more land does not mean that they were not or thing indigenous to the land. You have Simis in Upper Assam, you have Aos in Haflong, or Lamding, sorry.
Hmm.
They may be given ST status in Assam, but they're indigenous to Nagaland. No things like that, no.
Mm-hmm.
So indigeneity is a very thing, loose term, whereas boundaries are very definite.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
So
are you
our
saying that
earlier
Nagas are the
leaders,
migrants to Dimapur rather than them being the
yes,
migrants?
yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We are the recent migrants. Them,
Okay.
no, I'm not saying that they were here since time immemorial. But they were here
But they
before
were the
us.
early settlers. That's what you meant.
Yes.
Okay, this topic is
And
also for
any Naga
honorary.
claim. Yeah, yeah.
This topic is also
So
for honorary because I want to debate
Right.
with elder brother Kahuto Chishi on this issue as well, on
Let's
the
do that.
regarding the issue of Dimapur and the status of Dimapur. So now, right now, Lungleng, I think you have two topics at hand. One is
Right.
Dimapur, and one is
ILP.
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 Yeah, yeah.
ILP. Yeah.
Mm.
I think it's always good to discuss around because there's no topic that is too dangerous not to discuss. So I think I'm happy that you guys, you both of you just came over for this talk and just join this conversation from different places from your respective place. Um, I really appreciate I really appreciate it for the fact that it's you're open to talk. And I think this is one thing we are very much lacking in our society. It doesn't matter who is right, who is wrong for now, but just initiating to have conversation itself is very, very important. And I'm truly thankful to you both for agreeing to join this conversation. And I look forward to having more discussion on various burning issues like this. Now, for example, the backward tribe, and we can even talk about Naga political problem and endless issues. There are endless issues that we can talk any day from now on. So I'm truly thankful, and I want to thank our viewers who have joined online as well. We have about 2,400 viewers who are currently listening to our conversation, and I think it's one good way to keep ourselves informed and form your own opinion on various issues. So thank you so much, everyone, and thanks so much again, Mr. Kahuto Jishi and Mr. Joel Naga, for joining. And I look forward to talking to you again soon in the future.
Most welcome.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for having us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so
Good
much.
night.
Thank you so much. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.